What's your view amid the excoriation from the president that the politicians ought not to be politicizing this matter?
First and foremost, I think the millers were at State House yesterday, the way I saw it. And I think they did confirm that they were going to agree on those prices. I don't know how they're going to do these modalities. I am aware that it's going to be a subsidy. So those are details that now the millers are going to be working out with the government. But I did see some form of a handshake where they did agree in regards to the cost of food, unga being retailing at 100 shillings. I am informed, because I did ask on these matters, I am informed that today morning they're trying to finalize and formalize all the other, just to put the tidbits into place. And I think when the president remarks of immediately hereafter, the issues of concern, definitely I'm speaking on behalf of the wholesalers, the distributors, the retailers who already have products that they've already bought at a certain amount of money. You don't expect them to start selling at losses. So probably this is the transition period would take about 2-3 days for whatever is currently out there in the market to be exhausted. That is out there in the on the shelves to be exhausted, and then thereafter where this subsidy program now comes into place.
Okay. Thank you. Just a recap of the earlier topic that we had discussed, Daktari Dan Okach and Maina Karobi. Let's now shift our attention to this because it's very important and concerns the preparation by the IEBC and says the commission needs 1 billion to add Robin Kigame on ballot papers. According to Chebukati, Kigame only presented 1,013 supporters as of May the 25th this year, which was the set deadline for the submission of the list. Besides, Daktari, what appears to be an impact on the preparation, on the pathway of the IEBC when it comes to court orders, is the commission prepared, in your view, to deliver a credible election?
I think they will. It's a process. Election is a process. They need to engage stakeholders more often. They have run into some headwinds, but I believe that they will be able to deliver a credible, verifiable election if all hands are on deck. All hands are on deck. The politicians support them. Of course, not blindly raise reasonable questions, reasonable doubt to their capacity. The preparation has gone a long way.
Okay.
Remember, some of the allegation is that money came late, but they have done the best they can do. Of course, last election, there were more petitions, I believe, that they had to undergo than this time. Remember, I think, was it NASA, had more than 10 cases on the ballot, printing of the ballot, on whatever. So I don't think that this time they have suffered as much. Of course, the issue of some ruling coming late, for example, Mwalimu Kigame's orders, looks like their point is that it's impossible to comply with that order.
Okay.
And therefore...
Then what happens? I mean, talking about impossibility, this is a court order. What happens next?
So, of course, they have handed ammunition to maybe Kigame to second guess, even after the election, to say the election proceeded without me, illegally. But I think that in totality, the order is not also very direct.
Okay.
Remember, it is not rising from very clear positive law.
Okay.
That, just because one of the candidates is a person with disability, what do you do with them? IBC don't make laws. So how do you choose and skip some legal requirements and regulations in order to fulfill that? So in my view, I think they are they might not be able to comply. Okay. I hope they will get reprieve in the Court of Appeal. Okay. But overall, I also think that the order is not very hard-hitting on them. Okay. It is not stopping the election. The court could have done that. The court could have said nothing should move on, but the order is simply saying, review your own decision. Okay. And so they will come and say, after reviewing, yes, I still find this is what is logical.
Wakili Dan Okach, then going forward, I mean, more hurdles on the way of the IEBC, and you have, for example, the Monday ruling by Justice Anthony Mrima, which threw the IEBC into disarray and says now it's likely to spend 1 billion Kenya shillings if it's to add Reuben Kagame on the ballot.
Yes, that's a very pertinent question, and I like the optimism that Daktari, my namesake, has, but optimism alone cannot help us. I can tell you, even if we decide to fast as a country for the next 18 days that remain, IEBC is doomed to deliver elections that will not be credible, that will be contested from whatever position, presidential to the MCA position. So even what you are seeing in terms of Reuben Kagame is just adding already to the full tray of IEBC. There are issues that remain to date that tell us if elections are to be held in the remaining period, these issues are insurmountable. Okay. Look at the meeting that was there yesterday. IEBC, in terms of its dry run, could not still manage 100% efficiency in terms of transmission. And remember, election is transmission. Okay. What is transmitted is actually what the results that we are talking about. It could not do it yesterday. There are questions that linger in terms of how they will transmit from the over 1,100 polling stations
that have no network.
That have no networks. To date, that has not been done. They've not even done a test run, a dry run of that. There are issues about the voter register, whether it will be manual, there'll be a manual backup, or there'll not be. That is still even in court. And remember, the Constitution and the laws now tell us we must have a complementary system. Okay. What is that complementary system? There's an issue of the KPMG audit in terms of what they came up with. That has never been disclosed. And to this particular extent, it raised many issues. So there's already opaqueness in that process. I can go on and go on and go on, and time in this show will not allow us. Okay. But all what we are saying is that in terms of the elections that we had in 2017 and the education that IEBC was given from the Supreme Court presidential petition and many other petitions that Dr. is talking about, IEBC has not learned. And the same thing, remember, Emeritus Maraga told us, if you conduct elections that do not meet the threshold put in the Constitution, it will be nullified.
Okay, thank you. Maina, are you confident that the IEBC can deliver a credible poll?
I'm confident that IEBC will serve its purpose, the objective of delivering credible, democratic, and transparent elections. They, as my brother has said, they need to learn from 2017. And I think we need to give them the benefit of doubt. The challenge we are having right now is that we are engaging the IEBC with so many court cases, such that even their attention is divided in terms of delivering the whole process. I think we need to be patient enough with the IEBC. In terms of elections, as we had talked about with my brothers here offshore, election is about the people. It is not about the candidate. And I think we need to be informed by that basic understanding that when you are any election or any competitive democratic process is about serving the interests and the aspirations of the people. It is not about individual aspirations, because we have a nation to serve, we have a nation to live in. If we engage ourselves in political stalemates, it means that we might get into a political hole that we might not get ourselves out. And I think IEBC has been talking about even some elections not being postponed. Why? Because of the preparedness in terms of engaging IEBC in so many legal issues. And you see, being a democratic country, IEBC should be operating on law. If you go and and put some handles in terms of stay orders,
Okay.
in terms of court rulings, then it means you're engaging IBC in some divided attention activities. So I think we need to be patient with the process and believe that we are going to have a credible process.
Honorable Abdul Samad, I come to you because the Azimio camp that you do subscribe to have reservations about the manual voter register and the IBC's prioritization of the electronic voter register. That, and then coupled with the court cases, the litany of them, in your view, is the Commission prepared for the elections on the 9th of August?
First of all, before we even get to anything else, we need to realize that justice does not exist in a vacuum. Whenever any of these court orders are put into place, they're going to have some level of repercussions. And this is what exactly is happening. When you see the Commission trying to say that for us to be able to even consider a candidate, it's going to cost us about $1 billion shillings, God forbid, if we start even hearing some cases where it's going to be so unrealistic, where now the IBC have to say that they might even have to start considering postponing the presidential elections if they've pronounced themselves that they can try and postpone in other parts. All in all, I think where we are right now, we do have to realize it's a point of no turning back. We have to move on. 18 days, I'm looking at your counter as I speak right now, it's about 18 days, 18 days, 22 hours, and every time that we speak, every time that we start contemplating, we have to realize that constitutionally that date has already reached. And I think equally, if there's any chapter in the Constitution that is more in-depth, is the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights itself has limitations. So some of these things can be interpreted in many ways. You can't, yes, you can't put a price tag on justice, but at the same time, we should use probably the Constitution and the laws of this country, not to necessarily bend, but to try and straighten.
Okay. And on the question of preparedness and the electronic voter register vis-a-vis the manual voter register, and that's clearly explicit under Section 44 of the Elections Act, does Azimio still maintain the position on the use of the manual voter register? And why do you think the electronic voter register will not deliver credible poll according to the camp that you do subscribe to?
Well, of course, you've heard the issues that have already been raised. There's some parts, when they did the tests already have indicated some parts were not well prepared. Actually, the transmission was impossible for some areas without network. I represent an urban area, so probably some of these challenges will not be there. But you have to understand, when it's an election like this, as much as we believe that this is not going to be a close call, we believe that our party leader and the next president of this country, Raila Amolo Odinga, is going to win by a considerable percentage. So, but when you have issues like this that can be able to cause aftermath, with the beautiful constitution that we have, that everyone has a right to be able to petition and to be able to take anyone to court, it is important to tie up all these loose ends.
Okay. And Dr. Ojwang talked about, one final question, my honorable member, talked about financial autonomy, which is key for an independent commission like the IEBC. As a member of parliament, do you think it's paramount going forward to be given the financial autonomy to manage its affairs? Because you hear from the commission and it says that we were unable to conduct the continuous voter registration exercise because of cash crunch and because we were not able to reach as many people as possible in terms of voter awareness on the importance of voting and people coming out to vote. Going forward, how important as a member of parliament for you, where you sit, is it for the commission and future commissions to be given financial autonomy and independence?
I have 18 days to, as being a member of parliament. Parliament can be able to recall us at any given time, if at all there is a need for us to be called in. However, I don't see any way right now with whatever it is that is there. Every institution, one, has to be audited. This is including the Office of the Auditor General themselves. They have to be audited. The Parliament, the Executive, and everyone else. Every department passes through Parliament when it comes to funding, unless, and even if the Commission had its own source of funding, where they say that every single person who subscribes to whatever, whether they want to vie or anything else, that they have to pay, even that as well cannot be, we cannot say that we're granting them that level of independence. Unfortunately, the Constitution and the laws of this country are very, very clear when it comes to public money.
Okay, we'll come in a moment and talk
I didn't
about...
understand him when he said financial independence. It just doesn't... they cannot run as an island.
Okay, so you don't consider it important that independent commissions in the country which are constitutional not to be given financial autonomy?
By all means, it would be very, very ideal in an ideal society where the Constitution does allow them to be able to do that. But unfortunately, we have to be oblivious of the fact that we are not in Wonderland. First of all, where would the Commission be able to raise its funds? Then the funds will definitely have to pass through Exchequer by virtue of Parliament being able to give them that level of funding. Right now, the security forces equally are being audited.
Okay.
So you can't have a situation where you just give someone a blank check.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Ali, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think the plea was for them to be funded regularly and timely, in a timely fashion. Because they're saying the funds do not come when they need them. They come whenever government feel they are ready. But the issue of voter register, the complementary aspect of it, there is different interpretation of it. For example, does complementary means alternative?
Okay.
What does it mean to complement something? Because according to IBC position, which I think is well articulated, is that within that digital register, there is the complementary called alphanumeric.
Okay.
So that in case we cannot get your details through your fingers, we can search through your ID.
Okay.
That is complementing the digital.
So not necessarily the manual voter register.
Yes, and so the argument is that bringing manual is as a full register. There must be only one register. So if you have both, then the mischief is that somebody might decide to fail the digital and rely on the manual, and there is chances of much more mischief in the manual.
Okay.
Because if you have Duncan Ojwang and their full ID, you can't tell that Duncan Ojwang has not casted their ballot because it is manual. You can cross it and you can vote for them. And that is where the fight is. So it's not a fight in futility. That if you have my full ID, you can now search me and you can cause to vote for me if I'm not there. But if you don't have my full ID, because the one that is going to come to the polling stations, there will be names, there will be recanted ID numbers, not the full ones, but maybe the first 2 letters and the last letters. And therefore, the voter must be there physically to give you their full ID. They must be there to try the 10 fingers. Imagine somebody who has all 10 fingers fail. They must be there then, in that case, fill the form that physically this person has voted, and all the agents come and witness that this person and the photo that we are seeing coming up is the voter. Now, why do we anticipate a situation where IBC will have all the KIMs fail? If they fail, then how are they going to transmit? And that is why Deputy President is saying, simple, make sure it works.
Okay.
And we don't want to give you leeway where you come with the things not charged,
Okay.
and then you say, oops, it has not worked, therefore I'm going manual, and then you use chiefs and village elders to fill all those other names because you have their ID.
Thank you.
So the idea is that the mischief in having alternative voter register in the manual with the people's full ID is that you can pack those people, cause them to vote, even though they are not in the polling stations.
Well, Wakili Duncan, then, has the IEBC learned from the ruling by the top court in 2017?
The IBC has unfortunately not learned anything, and I think because they never paid a price for that particular failed process. It is Kenyans who paid the price by footing, again, the cost of a repeat election. And again, economically, Kenyans pay the price because we are not supposed to be in an election, proper election period for quite a long time. It has economic effects in terms of peace. It affects us directly. So to a large extent, you'd find that a very basic issue like this one, where it is without a complementary system, and a complementary means something that is functional.
Okay.
If you are told that complementary will still be within the digital aspects, and there's that possibility, and the doctor will agree with me, even our phones, sometimes they just don't work. You have no reason for it. If you are telling me the solution will still be within this thing that is not working, that is the alternative. What alternative is that? The alternative is physical. If I cannot get you on phone, the other alternative is the way we used to do it before these phones were there. So that can only be the most logical and reasonable alternative, which was there in 2017, and the Deputy President never raised any issue on that. And remember, at this particular point, even in terms of the decisions of court, there are people whom you cannot actually use biometrics.
Okay.
What is the alternative to them? Yet they have rights under Section 38 and Article 38 of the Constitution. So to that particular extent, it is very important for us to know that the price of not, doing an election at once and getting it over and done with is very expensive, because if you rely on only these gadgets, which he agrees can fail, and today we are already being told they cannot still achieve even 90% transmission rates. And the KIMS kit themselves will even have a WASA period, WASA issues, because they are supposed to be functional for the entire hours that the polling stations will be open. We are gearing ourselves to potential reasons as to why an election will be nullified. And not only one, all the elections.
Yes, Maina, why digital over manual?
I think in the 21st century, we should not be talking about physical forms. We should go digital way. But in the interest of what my brothers have said here, it's good that we give each and every Kenyan an opportunity to exercise their democracy. ABC has pronounced itself that they are going the digital way. The manual register will be a last option in regards to this process. So I think IBC has pronounced itself in that regard. So all the digital structures should be given the first option in regards to this election. The question of complementary is what Daktari was asking. Is it a complementary to the point of to what stage or to what extent are we using the manual register as a complementary system to the whole exercise? So I think we need to look at it from that angle. But in future, this is my point. When handshake was being done in 2018, the objective should have been fixing the electoral justice of this country. But we saw a turn of events to pursuing a political end in regards to the handshake itself. I think in future we need to address the electoral justice and the electoral system so that we can service our democracy as a country. We need not to, when politicians at the high level are coming together, they need not to be looking at politics, political interest per se. They need to look at it, they need to look at the democracy, the growth of our democracy, cultivating our democracy from a grassroots citizen point of view, not looking at it from the high levels of how politicians interact with each other.
Thank you. When we get back from the break, Dr. I give you time to respond and also focus our attention on the county of Mombasa, where the MP Mvita constituency Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is joining us from and gunning for the top job in the county on an ODM ticket. And how important is it within the devolved structure and system of governance across the 47 devolved units, and what he will do to change the current status quo in the county of Mombasa. The Auditor General in subsequent reports often excoriates how counties and the chief executive officials across the 47 devolved units have failed to control financial malfeasance and also tightening the tap of corruption in the counties. This notwithstanding, of course, the exchequer's pumping of billions into the counties, and by the end of the next month in August, the counties across the 47 units will have gobbled up more than 2.4 trillion Kenya shillings, but less to show for in terms of development and uplifting the lives of people across Mashinani. When we get back from the break, we'll be tying that up with the Mombasa aspect, where the MP who is gunning for that seat will be telling us more about his plans for County 001. Stay tuned. We are back with more after the break.
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
Hakuna kura ya Hasla Mutaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Sanura amerudi kwa wala usonyo. Mtu yeyote asifungue kinywa chake kuongea na yeyote.
Wewe unasimama kidete kupinga mila ambazo wewe ulizifanya.
Mtoto wa kike akifikia umri anapaswa kuolewa, sio kuleta familia yake shida.
Sanura lazima olewe na Dula.
Asante sana. Kama ni Ijumaa nyingine, na bila shaka tunakuja kutatua angalau changamoto kidogo. Tuko maeneo ya Thika, maeneo ya Kiadutu, watu wa kutoka maeneo ya Kiadutu slums ambao tunataka kuwasaidia kidogo. Tuko na chakula ambacho tunapatiana siku ya leo. Zaidi ya watu 250 leo watapata usaidizi kwa hisani ya Tatua Tatu. Nakumbuka kwamba ya kwanza tulikuwa kule maeneo ya Kariobangi South, tukatoka kule, leo tuko hapa maeneo ya Thika.
Ninashukuru sana na niko na furaha kubwa kwa sababu ya vile mmeweza kututembelea na kuweza kutupatia chakula. Kuna wengi ambao hawakuweza kutukumbuka, lakini nyinyi mmetufanya tuwe watu wa maana kwenu na kutuweka katika mawazo yenu. Twashukuru na tunasema mbarikiwe sana.
Yote ni kwa hisani ya Tatua Tatu, rahisi kama vile 1 2 3.
What can you do on an acre, 2 acres, or even 5 acres of very strategically located land? The possibilities are endless here at the Great Oasis Gardens in Nanyuki by Optiven. Call us on 0790 300 300.
Siku ya leo sasa hivi tuko katika kaunti ya Kwale. Sehemu hii inajulikana kama Tsimba. Madhumuni yetu ni kuhakikisha kwamba tunabadilisha maisha ya watu kama 800. Kila mmoja atakuwa anapokea chakula. Yote ni kwa hisani ya Lotto Foundation.
Zaidi ya hivi, nashukuru sana alhamdulillah kwa kupata chakula hiki. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema asante sana tena sana.
Lotto Foundation nasema tunashukuru, tunawaomba wakati mwingine kututembelea.
Kumbuka, wakati ambapo unacheza loto, 25% inatumika kufanikisha shughuli hii kwa hisani ya Lotto Foundation. That is why tunasema kila wakati, Lotto Foundation, changing lives.
Welcome back. You're watching the Morning Review on K24, and thank you for staying with us here on the broadcast. Dr. Duncan Ojwangi is the Dean School of Law, African Nazarene University. Another Duncan, another lawyer, constitutional lawyer, Duncan Okach also joins us here in studio with us. Thank you for your time. Two Duncans, and also Maina Karobia, who is a political commentator and a supporter of the United Democratic Alliance, and the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. From Mombasa County, we are joined by Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, the Member of Parliament, Mvita constituency, for the remaining 18 days, gunning for the top job in the county on an ODM ticket. I'll come to you, Honorable, on Mombasa County. Dr. you had a point before we went on a break. Yes, kindly proceed.
Yes, briefly. Maybe to avoid monotony, you can call me Danko, and
yes.
He keeps the name Duncan.
Dan 1, Dan 2.
No, Dan
or in terms of seniority, Dan senior, Dan junior.
No, Danko.
Okay.
Will work. But you see, when you are driving to Mombasa, you don't come with two vehicles, suppose one fail, or carry an engine, suppose this engine knocks, then I have an alternative engine. You just put tires or spare tires. So as you drive down to Mombasa, if a tire bursts, you can change. That is what we understand by the complementary. But what the Azimio side is saying is that when you're going to Mombasa, have your car, but hire another car driving behind you. In case this car fails,
yes,
then you get to this car. Nobody travels like that. And that is the difference between alternative and complementary. Ordinarily, you just put on extra tires in case you have a tire burst. If now worst case scenario comes that your car stalls, then you know it has stalled. But you don't plan an alternative full trip just because this one might fail. Why must it fail? You take it to service, you check the oil, you make sure you drive it slowly, you fuel it and gas it, and you go. And that is the issue here. Secondly, the idea that there are some people who will not vote because, imagine a situation where somebody has not 10 fingers.
Okay.
And as rare as that is, IBC is saying that in that situation, then the officer hire will come, will get this person's full ID details, will get them through the KIMS, and they will get the photo, call the agents, and the agents will confirm that, yes, this is the guy or the lady, and then they will come with Form 34. There is a form there that will be filled physically and signed, and that then they will be allowed to vote. So quite the contrary, there is no Kenyan who will not be allowed to vote because their name is not there. What this, they will vote, but they will now have to fill a form. And if you could find in a polling station more than 10 people who have no fingers, 10 fingerprints are not working, then it's a sign clearly that there is some vote rigging or monkey business. So the idea is, and this is the hypocrisy, when it came to nomination, ODM wowed the nation by coming with digital nomination. And they said, far from it, unlike UDA, who are still carrying boxes and ballot boxes, primitive third generation on their wheelbarrows. We are a group that is far-looking, and we are going to use technology. And they did use technology. Now, all of a sudden, they are driving and saying that we must have a manual register. So there is a complementary system, which is alphanumeric.
Okay.
And people who don't vote are able to vote.
Yes, Okach. Yes. Briefly.
I think just looking at, you've given him a lot of time on that issue, and it's an important national issue. But thank you, I'll try to be as brief. My colleague has given you an example, which example he should understand. He has said, if you're going to Mombasa, you don't need to take two vehicles. That is okay if it is just an ordinary trip.
Okay.
But if it is a trip that you make once every 5 years, It is a trip that if it fails, it will cost billions, it will cost lives. You know, it is a trip that cannot fail. You then cannot take chances. If he was given such a chance, I can tell you, he will not have even one complimentary, he may have even 3. And that is why, if you look at even the American president, whenever he's going to very important functions, of course, ordinarily he will have even 2 vehicles if it is the beast.
More than 40.
More than the
40
ones that
vehicles.
he can even use directly, he will have an exact, and these are very proper serviced vehicles. Then at the end of the day, and that is why it's complementary. He doesn't use 2 at the same time. And when he's using even this, what we call Air Force One, there'll be 2, you know, for these important trips, because there is no room for failure. So to that extent, if it was the ordinary trip, he would work. In this trip that you are going to make on the 8th or on the 9th of August, I can tell you there should be no room for failure. It is too expensive to try what he's saying.
Asante. Honorable Abdul Samad Sharif Nasri, Mvita MP now. Let's now talk about the devolved system of governance and by extension the port city of Mombasa. And I come to you. Do you understand the problems that ail Mombasa County? If the answer is yes, how will you immediately, with an easy, immediate fix formula, address the problems dotting county number 1?
By all means, after having gone around the whole county, campaigning and listening to the needs of the people, by all means, yes, we do understand what the issues are concerning our people. And there's no better way for us to tackle these problems except working with the people. And that is why our campaign motto has been Mwanzo Mpya Sauti ya Watu. This is going to be an issue of the voice of the people. There's no better resource that any county can be able to have than its people. We are blessed with the people who have been able to cooperate with us. This is manifesto that we've launched, a 10-point agenda with a detailed plan explaining all.
Okay, we seem to be having a communication problem in reaching out to the Honourable Member of Parliament. As soon as we fix that, we'll be getting back to him in the port city of Mombasa. Yes, Maina, come. And here, as we conclude on the IBC matter, it's equally important that we highlight on the devolved system of governance and by extension counties that serve as very important. The likes of Nairobi, we have seen NMS stepping in as a result of the handover of the 4 key functions by Governor Mike Sonko in February 2020. We have Mombasa County, we have Nakuru County, which is now a city county. Having seen that and the Exchequer pumping money, has there been value for the money that the Exchequer has given the counties across the 47 devolved units?
I think the point, we have a devolved system. That's what we are operating on. The objective was to take resources and services to the people. To that extent, I think we have achieved to a great extent in terms of devolving services, devolving some of the functions. We need to remove functions from Nairobi, and I think to that extent we have achieved. I think going forward, the 4 cities that we have, that is Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, Mombasa, the governors that are going to be elected in August, they need to serve the mandate of the people. We don't want to see a situation whereby, like in the case of Nairobi, where a governor surrenders the will of the people to be governed, their aspirations to another entity. I think the governors who are occupying those particular, the governors who will be voted to those particular cities, because they are strategic cities to national interest, should serve the people. They need to know that the 4 cities are going to, they actually serve the developmental agenda of our country. Because, for instance, if you look at the geopolitical positioning of these cities, it means if we leverage on those cities, we are going to meet all the gaps in our country. The blue economy in the coast, the blue economy in Kisumu.
Lake Basin region.
Yeah, the Lake Basin region. Because the blue economy or the Lake Basin region, we have not pursued the blue economy from that perspective. We have been seeing the blue economy in our country just as a coastal affair. And I read a charter that Dr. helped in crafting, the Nyanza Charter on blue economy. And they actually, to a great extent, looked at the Lake Basin as a new frontier that the government can pursue.
Okay.
And I think the next government need to pursue that region as a new frontier in terms of a new frontier in terms of economic development. The 4 cities, the 4 county cities that we are having in the next government is that the governors need not to look at what government, the national government will be in power. They need to work with the national government in delivering the objective in those cities.
Thank you.
But not really a government coming to dictate to those governors, but a more with a mutual respect and interdependency point of view, not with the dictation that we see in Nairobi currently.
Thank you. Dr. Ojwang, then 10 years into the devolved system of governance, how do you think we can better this embryonic system of governance that we incepted in 2013?
Thank you. One slight thing, then I get to your topic very fast. Remember the battle that Council even Okachi is saying. The issue is, should the new register, the manual, have all the full IDs of the individual? There will be a manual register, but not with all the IDs. And the question is, why do the other side want all the IDs? If this person is going to be in the polling station, if they don't get their fingerprints working, then they can give you the other digits. But the alternative that is being pushed for here is that bring it with all the ID. And that is where the mischief is. So that is part of the battle about the digital. But now coming to devolution, of course, I think that we have seen what devolution can cause. I think sovereignty, as Karobia was saying, is about self-rule. We have tried the idea of everything in Nairobi, just like we have tried the idea of trickle-down, and we are finding that 60 years, like we did with devolution, cannot work. I think I come from a region, as he was saying, we have written our charter. Part of it was signed by the deputy president, because I'm tired coming from a region where we are still carrying fish in a basket to Gikomba, with flies and everything for 60 years after independence. And we have the counties that we can harvest this thing and have omega-3 extracted and just bring fillet here and add value, that indeed that fish can industrialize Luoland. We don't need to be in Nairobi begging and doing shoddy jobs. We should be industrialized with our fish. And that is the idea of what devolution can do. Overall, I think that devolution have worked with all the hiccups. Of course, we have seen the mandatory leasing of hospital equipment that they rejected. We know that there is somebody in Nairobi who have also worked to undermine devolution. We know that there are some politicians who have turned our counties into their cash cows, and the governor's job is to fund their political quest. But overall, it's about self-rule. It must be protected. These 4 cities, for example, Nairobi being a selfish person, I'm from Nairobi, you can see that we have a clear path between Sakaja and between Igade, and you can see that most Nairobians, I think, and Okachi will confirm this, are warming towards Honorable Sakaja. I don't know why.
Thank you. And I give Okache the word there before I get to Honorable Abdul Samad and give him the remaining time because of the challenge that we have had in terms of the glitch we experienced. Just go ahead.
And I think the reason why you'd find maybe like Dr. says, people may be warming up towards Honorable Sakaja is the same reason that has been indicated by my colleague, is that once you give the mandate to a person as a governor, that mandate is with him and he should selfishly guard that mandate. And because that's the only way he can relate to the people who have put him in office. If you now delegate this mandate to any other entity, it is unconstitutional. That is not what the framers did. It is akin to electing a president next month, then that president gets someone from Uganda and delegates. It doesn't make sense. And then you'll complain that that person is not actually working towards your aspirations. To this particular extent, these counties, the main counties in terms of what we have talked about, are critical to the development of this nation. Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu, very, very critical, that whoever gets in must relate to the people on the ground. And that is why I believe it's not about even one approach. Okay. I believe we can have an influx of bottom up and up bottom to an extent that it still works for the people. You cannot go in and say, because I was in Azimio, I will not approach bottom up. Just, you've been given the mandate. It is you as a governor. It's not about your party now.
Honorable Abdul Samad, earlier on we had a challenge in reaching out to you. Now the communication channel is well now, better off. Proceed with your point.
Yes, as you were saying that what are the issues that are affecting the people? We have a 10-point agenda, a clear-cut manifesto on the needs of the people of Mombasa, ways that we can be able to tackle these particular problems, but of interest and something that is extremely vital is the fact that we need to revive the economy of Mombasa. Mombasa is not where it was. Mombasa is not where it is meant to be. We have the capacity to be able to do way better, and we just need to be able to focus. The cost of the level of unemployment in Mombasa, we have one of the highest youth unemployment rates at about 47%. Right now, you walk around the CBD. For the first time, you see quite a number of properties with to let signs, because there's just no business that is moving around. And we want to do this through a series of ways. One, revive and look at ways of pushing the special economic zones in Dongo Kundu. Look at ways equally of pushing the Mediterranean Industrial Park. Secondly, this is something that between myself and our party leader have agreed on, return port services back to Mombasa, without necessarily saying that we intend to kill other counties, but we cannot. The transport logistics sector accounts for about 27% of our gross county income, and when you kill that alone, through the SGR, through the issues of taking port services away, once we're able to return that, we're not even saying that that is going to be enough. This is something that is going to be a conversation that has to be heard and has to be actioned on. We want a stake in the port of Mombasa, just the same way other counties all over the country have a stake in whatever else natural resources that they have. We need to look at the way other parts of the world are doing it. The Port of Houston is part of the City Council of Houston, Port of Miami, Rotterdam, and there's so many examples that we can be able to give. But where we stand right now is that we need to revive the economy of Mombasa. We have to.
One final question, Honorable, and given that you have mentioned your 10-point manifesto, the plan you have for Mombasa, unemployment, development, but one thing also stands out when you look at the report by the Auditor General and the control of budget, and that is malfeasance, which is not just dotting Mombasa County, but equally, which is a common denominator among the other counties in the country. How would you tighten the taps and make sure that the public coffers in the county of Mombasa are well utilized?
Well, I've been blessed to be a chair of the Public Investment Committee for the last 5 years. Done my job diligently with a lot of, I would call this nature's way of me being prepared for the job, because I'm trying to imagine all the issues that have come through my hands, and I can assure you no one will be able to try and lie and get away with it. We will be able to know. We will be able to know the kind of loopholes, and in terms of good governance, one of the things that we're insisting on as the new team that is going to come over is you don't try and fill a pot that is leaking. You try and seal the leak first of all. Ask any doctor that when there's been some trauma and injury, you don't try by infusing blood. First of all, the first thing that you try and do is seal the leakages that are there. Then thereafter, is when you consider. So the first thing that we have to do, and I strongly believe, by sealing loopholes, Mombasa stands to earn an extra 30% plus of income. So this is something. I had a meeting yesterday with the employees of the county, and not for any other reason. I'm not assuming office or anything, but as part of our intent to inform them what are the plans that we have. It was very clear that yes, I do intend to make sure that people are paid their salaries on time, the remunerations are paid on time, statutory deductions are paid on time, loans are paid back to the banks. However, at the same time, I expect to work with a team that is going to be corrupt-free.
Daktari, Duncan Ojoana, I come to you, and also to Okach and Maina, your closing remarks. And this coming at a time when we are going to a consequential election, the third under the current constitutional dispensation. How important is it for Kenyans to realize that it's at the counties where they can install leadership that will transform their lives for the better? And is that understanding coming from the political class to enlighten Kenyans on that significance?
Absolutely. I think that that have been my call together, as I've had Mheshimiwa articulated, that we have 48 governments, not one. We have 47 devolved and one national government. That we should not sacrifice any county government for expediency or thinking that it will support the quest for national government. I come from a county called Homa Bay, and we think that if we get it right, by the time I was in Form 3, yes, Orengo was articulating the idea of devolution in the air, and he was saying we will be able to get our money as a people, whether we are in the government or not. It looked like utopia. It has come. We need to be very selfish. Okay. We need to disentangle counties from politics. Okay. We need to understand that if you have an independent candidate, whether it's in Homa Bay, who can deliver, then do not sacrifice them at the altar of those who have been appointed with party leaders. Please don't.
Thank you. Yes, Okach, briefly.
I can't agree more with the Daktari, and especially the fact that we share a name and we share where we come from, Homa Bay County. Ideally, this marks the essence of county leadership. We have county regime whereby it does not matter whether the presidential candidate you supported became president or not in terms of development, because the cake is there, and as we are going into the next regime, the cake is going to be even bigger. So your local solutions can be solved regardless of who is actually sitting in State House. And that is what people must know. Your county representative will actually know your problems better and will be the main person to solve your issues. Okay. When it comes to a point where once you are elected, and because you are sponsored by a party, your allegiance is to the head of that particular political party as opposed to your people, you will lose it.
Yes. Maina, final comments.
As we head to this election, this is the third time we are engaging in the devolved system. I think the citizens are now mature in terms of electing their governors and county leadership. Going into these elections, the citizens need to look at the various manifestos and plans that various gubernatorial candidates are presenting, so that they can vote rationally and objectively for their governor for the next 5 years. Asante. So I think going into these elections, the citizens need to selfishly read the manifestos and the various plans that county leaderships county candidates are presenting, so that they can get to have a governor who is going to execute a mandate within, as they have stipulated. One thing I want to say is this: the Council of Governors that we have in our country is a critical cog that has not been pursued by governors to push for more allocation of resources from the national government. And I think in the next tier of governors that we are going to have, they need to pursue the Council of Governors to push for more allocation of resources to the county government.
Asante. And your time is all appreciated. Dr. Duncan Ojwang, Dean, School of Law at the African Nazarene University, thank you for your time. Your namesake, Duncan Okaj, constitutional lawyer, Wakili, thank you. Also commentator on social political development, Maina Karobia, is a youth leader at the UDA Party United Democratic Alliance in support of the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. Thank you for your time. And from the port city of Mombasa, we were joined by the Mvita Member of Parliament, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasru, who says he has some 18 days before his tenure expires and now gunning for the top job in the county. Thank you for your time from Mombasa County. And thank you to you too for watching. Up next is Interactive with Shiko Kaitani, Mungala Mbovi, and Jeff Mote. I will see you tomorrow morning on Hangout Friday. Let's hang out then. Bye-bye.
That's as they say, if you run after two rabbits, you will catch neither.
Oh, really? Well, let me remind you. You did the same thing. You got engaged to Miguel and then went on and kissed Roberto Perez.
Carranza, I'd rather spend my entire life in prison than spend one more day without seeing that woman.
Listen to me.
I'm going to town tonight.
This means that the day of the attack, you were standing right over here at the same time that your fiancé was being hit, where Morales was standing right over there. Miss Guerra, did you really hear the name Tomas? Consider that there's an innocent man who may end up in jail.
Well...
Mbona unashughulisha na Masha? Masha akili yake yote iko concentrated kwa Mweni. Hauoni hivyo wewe? Unajiwaste. Nikatoka nikakuacha peke yako.
Mweni unafanya nini hapa?
Unajua naweza kugonga vibaya sana wewe. Ngoja kidogo hapo.
Pull it. Let's recall some great men who's been fighting for our rights. Akina nani? Rhythm vibes. Zima yo karatasi ninja. Ninja. Tutashikwa ninja. With the dreadful MC Full Stop. I love the way you. Freeze. Refresh. And DJ Neville. Every Saturday from 11 to 1 p.m. And every Thursday, we're stepping it up bigger and better. Ring the bell. From 10 p.m. to midnight. One only on K24. Pull up, we'll come again.
This week on Kilimo na Biashara, we want to show you some of the innovative ways in which you can utilize your limited space through vertical gardening.
I started with one in my front yard. Then I later come to plant about 10 of them. The startup capital, I can proudly say, it was less than 5,000. You utilize a very small space and you can plant many crops. It's very economical on water. So it's not labor intensive. The productivity is high.
This is a show that you can't afford to miss. So join me this Friday at 8 p.m.
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Mchipuko.
Kaunti ya Lamu,
Murang'a,
Kitui,
Kisumu,
Kwale,
Embu,
Turkana,
Machakos,
Mchipuko,
Taita Taveta,
Kajiado, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Mchipuko wa K24 kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 5 asubuhi hadi saa 7 adhuhuri.
Sanura amerudi kwa wale wasiojua. Mtu yeyote asifungue kinywa chake kuongea na yeyote.
Wewe unasimama kidete kupinga mila ambazo wewe ulizifanya.
Mtoto wa kike akifikia umri anapaswa kuolewa, sio kuleta familia yake shida.
Sanura lazima olewe na Dula.
Tusirudi nyuma kwa mipaka na nchi kufungwa. Tusirudi kwa biashara na shule kufungwa. Kwa kutoweza kukutana. Kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo. Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo. Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo. Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu. Kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
This week on Refreshing Times.
Do not find it strange when you find yourself going through some fiery season of trial like the one we are going through right now with this pandemic, having lost loved ones, friends, businesses, jobs, opportunities. Some of us were supposed to travel. We are supposed to be in school or college, but you know what? We are still at home. But he says, hey, when these things come, no trial has come your way, but such as is common to everybody.
The 2021-2022 football season might have come to an end. We are not done with it just yet.
Simeone, into the middle. Farayone!
Relive all the crucial moments of the EPL, La Liga, and Serie A. Witness Africa flex its might.
Absolutely magnificent!
Feel the sting of the strike and the stretch of the save.
And it's a brilliant save again from
The joy of the last-minute goal.
Manchester City beat Aston Villa.
And all the key moments that made an epic football season. Catch every glorious moment of the 2021-2022 football season on K24 Plus, your home of entertainment.
Welcome to Interactive on K24 this morning. Shiko Kaitani is my name. Jeff Mote in the house, as well as Paul Mbuvi. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Kama Kawa, Kama K. We are always looking out for you on our social media platforms, and that means you can get us as at K24 TV on Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter. The hashtag is K24 this morning. Our WhatsApp number popping up and down at the bottom of your screen. So karibu sana. We will be sampling those text messages in just a few. In the meantime, gentlemen, hello.
Hello. Habari yako? Shiko Kaitani.
Salama, thank you. There's a debate ongoing here as to why Jeff has not managed to get past season 2 of Ozark.
No, please.
Oh, yeah,
But season 1 of Manifest.
Game of Thrones.
No, Manifest. Game of Thrones. Jeff, he's a lost cause on that one.
Like I told the movie, I think only 5 series that I will follow religiously.
Yeah.
The rest.
So Peaky Blinders, Ozark,
Succession. I'm trying to remember the other one. Billions.
Billions.
Yes. I can't remember the
Jane
one,
the
but that's about
Virgin.
it.